In order to torture the beautiful girl, the perverted villain finds a slime that is able to corrode her clothes and bring her a strange sense of pleasure. Now only the strongest magician in the world can save her. But the problem is that he is even more perverted than this villain. What will happen to this poor girl? Let's see. In a time when human civilization had reached remarkable heights, the horrible evil known as the Dark Evil Devil emerged abruptly, wreaking havoc upon human achievements. However, in the end, he met its demise in a battle with the Divine Dragon, a symbol of light. After a span of 4 centuries, humanity managed to reconstruct a new civilization. On this day, the cruel evil wizard, with an army of monsters, attacks the capital of the kingdom. The kingdom's army can't resist and are being slaughtered by the monsters. But the high priest once told his daughter, Yoko, to kiss the little boy, Lucia Renren. It can awaken the immensely powerful magician Dark. With the evil wizard leading an army of monsters assailing the palace, everyone is desperate. Yoko finally decides to kiss Lucia Renren, the boy she grew up with. Instantly, the skinny and weak Lucia Renren turns into an arrogant and muscular man with silvery hair. He easily blows the huge monster into pieces. The evil wizard recognizes this most powerful magic of attacking. He gets panicked and instantly orders the monster army to attack. Dark soon kills countless monsters with another supreme magic. The evil wizard is threatened and counterattacks with his most powerful spell of lightning. However, this only caused superficial injuries on Dark. Dark despises any harm inflicted upon his handsome face. Consequently, he employs the formidable power of Hellfire, reducing the evil wizard to mere ashes. Following the demise of the evil wizard, Dark's focus shifts to targeting the kingdom's people. This desire is rooted in an event that occurred 15 years ago, wherein Dark was imprisoned within Lucia Renren's body by a group of formidable warriors when he was attacking the realm. Having now been reawakened, he decides to take revenge on the kingdom. To realize this sinister plan, Dark seizes Yoko, with the intent of possessing the girl who brought him back. Yoko shyly closes her eyes to take Dark's lust, but nothing more happens after a kiss. It turns out that a virgin's kiss can seal him again. Dark turns back to the thin and kind boy. Soon after, the evil wizard's masters, Dark Rebel Army's divine generals, learn of his defeat. They send a summoner to attack. The summoner is so powerful that he can summon a hydra stronger than the evil wizard. This time the high priest returns to the palace. However, his magic can only heal and defend attacks. To defeat the summoner, he also needs to summon Dark. So the high priest makes his daughter, Yoko, unseal the strongest magician Dark with a kiss once again. However, driven by his arrogance and overconfidence, he scolds those nearby as soon as his seal is lifted. He then intends to launch an assault, with the high priest being his primary target. This decision stems from the fact that the high priest was among the few people responsible for sealing him. Despite the high priest's lack of proficiency in attacking, his mastery over magical defenses proves formidable, causing Dark's magic to be ineffective. Yet, Dark possesses an alternative ability to inflict harm upon the high priest, which is to employ physical strikes. Thus, he summons an enormous stone warrior, with its weight exceeding 100 tons. It is covered with dark armor, and it possesses great force. Just then, the summoner suddenly rushes into the palace riding a hydra. He wants to duel with Dark. Provoked by the summoner, Dark decides to kill him first. The stone warrior hits the hydra. The hydra's flames have no effect on the warrior, but the warrior easily breaks the hydra's head. The summoner is also knocked down by Dark's punch, and then turns into ashes under the heat of the hellfire. Afterwards, Dark tries to attack the high priest, but Yoko's cries awaken the kind personality of Lucia Renren inside Dark's mind. Eventually Dark chooses to kiss Yoko and gives up invading the kingdom. The Ninja Master, one of the Dark Rebel Army's divine generals, heard that the summoner also died of hellfire, so he speculates that his enemy may be Dark, who was the master of the Dark Rebel Army's divine generals 15 years ago. What puzzles the Ninja Master is that why such an arrogant man is willing to help the kingdom he is hostile to. He decides to question Dark face to face. The kingdom now lies beneath a shroud of ominous black clouds, signaling the imminent return of the Dark Evil Devil, the devil responsible for world devastation. Evidently, the Dark Rebel Army's divine generals aspire to revive the Dark Evil Devil, aiming to once again plunge the world into destruction. Safeguarding against the direst outcome now hinges significantly upon harnessing Dark's formidable power. After hearing this, Yoko feels a little shy because it means she has to keep kissing Lucia Renren and Dark. Kissing Lucia Renren is acceptable, but kissing Dark makes her feel shy and embarrassed. Another enchanting young woman also finds herself attracted to Dark. She happens to be the kingdom's princess. Having been raised by the collective care of those around her, she has never encountered a person as wild as Dark. He has come to the kingdom's rescue on 2 occasions, each time revealing his muscular body naked. This has ignited within her a distinct longing for Dark. This night, the ninja master sneaks into Yoko's place. He wants to kidnap the high priest's daughter and force her to tell him where Dark is sealed, but he does not realize that Dark is actually the young boy behind him. Yoko is in great shape, so the ninja master cannot help himself molesting her. This action instantly angers Dark inside Lucia Renren. Dark takes Yoko as his lover. He warns the ninja master to stop molesting Yoko or he will be dead. At this moment the high priest rushes to the room. The ninja master has to take Yoko first and escapes on the flying dragon. Yoko's capture results in the inability to break Dark's seal, posing a challenge to rescue her. In order to remove the seal, a kiss from a virgin who possesses magic is essential, yet it is a criterion not met by any young woman within the kingdom. Now, the princess steps forward, volunteering to give the kiss. However, the king disagrees, as maintaining the purity of the royal family holds significant importance. Despite this, driven by her commitment to the kingdom, the princess remains resolute in her determination to break the seal. Subsequently, she awakens Dark with the power of her first kiss. By this time Yoko has been locked in the fortress of the ninja master. She heard about Dark's love story for the first time. Before being sealed, Dark had lived 400 years and had slept with countless lovers. That makes Yoko jealous. Then the ninja master brings a corrosive slime. It crawls up Yoko's body. The slime will slowly melt Yoko's clothes while touching her body to give her a pleasure. The torture soon makes Yoko keep breathing and her clothes are completely melted. The ninja master watches the scene with a lustful smile. Dark and the princess, accompanied by the knights, approach the fortress. Led by Dark, they swiftly overcome the ninja guards. Dark observes the princess moving cautiously, burdened by her armor. Encouraged by his suggestion, she sheds the armor and moves in lightweight attire. On arriving, Dark immediately blows up the strong gate. There is a maze with various monsters ambushing in the fortress. Dark and the others enter the maze and the first monster they meet is a minotaur. Dark leaves the minotaur to others and takes the princess to go first. The princess is moving too slow, so Dark picks her up and heads to the second level of the maze. Being so close to Dark, the princess feels shy and excited. They then encounter an eyeball monster blocking the way. This monster releases a powerful protection magic, and Dark's spells cannot break its defense. Just then, the princess sneakily attacks the eyeball monster in time from the back. While the eyeball monster is distracted, Dark unleashes another spell and slices the eyeball monster into pieces. Following the demise of the monster, Dark once more holds the princess in his arms. On this occasion, he initiates playful contact with her skin, engaging in flirtatious interactions. Although the princess reprimands Dark outwardly, a sense of gratitude wells within her. She can tell that Dark's MP is significantly depleted after confronting the enemies. Walking to the next level of the maze, the princess finds a sword. She picks up the sword and wants to help Dark kill the enemy, but she does not expect the sword can control her to stab towards Dark directly. The sword is a trap with poisons on. Dark has to make the princess help him suck out the venom from the wound. Though feeling shy, the princess still sucks on his body because she thinks that it is all her fault. At this moment, the monster hiding in the sword appears. He is a powerful elemental of fire. Dark's magic power is almost exhausted, and the fire elemental is the monster that is the easiest to defeat him. The ninja master knows that Dark is best at fire spells, but fire spells are ineffective against the fire elemental. They even strengthen its power. The ninja master thinks Dark will definitely be defeated, but Dark is so crazy that he still attacks the elemental with fire spells. Without hesitation, he charges headlong into the elemental's flames, absorbing them to enhance his own strength. As the fire spells have the potential to bolster the elemental's might, they similarly empower Dark's power of spells. After being enhanced, his fire spells become overwhelming for the fire elemental to withstand. Displaying extraordinary courage, he conquers the elemental. Astonished by Dark's prowess and courage, the fire elemental resumes its form as a blazing sword, pledging allegiance to Dark as its new master. The ninja master has to fight himself. He provokes Dark, saying that he had slept with Yoko. Dark is completely enraged. He actually has no magic power left, but in his anger, Dark uses a forbidden magic. He creates a magic circle that can absorb the energy of the heaven. In this magic circle, he temporarily has unlimited magic power. So Dark uses continuous spells to blow the ninja master's fortress into ruins. After seeing such a powerful force, the ninja master hurriedly admits defeat and chooses to submit to Dark. Arshasne is the Queen of Thunder among the Dark Rebel Army's divine generals. She is Dark's next enemy. Arshasne is a half-elf. She was picked up by Dark when she was a teenager and was one of Dark's lovers. But now Arshasne sees Dark as an enemy. After a few days, Dark comes across a stunning woman who is being pursued by a spider monster. Swiftly eliminating the monster, he rescues the woman from harm. Her attractive figure stirs Dark's desires. In that very moment, she extends her gratitude by inviting Dark to her residence, and Dark readily agrees to the invitation without any hesitation. At night, the beauty offers herself to Dark as her thanks for saving her life. Dark takes off her clothes and finds the mark of wearing armor on her body. Then, a spider coming out of nowhere bites Dark, and he died. The beauty thinks she succeeds in ambushing. She does not expect that Dark has prepared when he saw the marks of armor. Dark only uses illusions to disguise himself as being defeated. He subdues the beauty but does not kill her. She is surprised about this. She is then attracted by Dark's tolerance and masculinity, and they spend the rest of the night together. Next day, before Dark leaves, the beauty warns him to be careful because Arshasne sent 3 assassins to attack him, and she is the weakest of them. But Dark is not afraid, and he has no fear of any enemy. The second assassin sent by Arshasne appears as a striking teenage boy. Surprisingly, once Dark shatters the teenager's armor with his blazing sword, her sexy figure is revealed. Unbeknownst to Dark, she is actually a female swordswoman who has been masquerading as a male. She is very good at swordsmanship, and she possesses the ability to cast magic as well. Dark is accidentally hit by the magic of petrifying. The energy of this magic comes from the gods. Dark will be able to break it if he knows what god the female swordsman believes in, but he doesn't, so he is in a hard battle. Just then, the blonde summons the spider monster to help Dark. Seeing the blonde betray, the female swordsman angrily swears to God that she will not let the traitor go today. Dark heard her words, and knows the name of the god, so he breaks the spell. The female swordsman summons the chicken snake monster. This monster can use a poisonous mist to petrify anyone. Dark swiftly moves to a higher ground, utilizing the wind to redirect the toxic mist towards the female swordsman. As the mist engulfs her, she loses control over the chicken snake monster. As the monster is about to eat her, Dark reacts quickly and casts a spell that eliminates the chicken snake monster, rescuing the female swordsman from imminent danger. With the female swordsman affected by the toxic fog, Dark swiftly lifts her and aids her in extracting the poison from her body. Surprised and touched, she finds herself falling in love with him. Dark seems to be undefeated, but just then, the only one who can defeat him appears. As Dark used up all his magic power, he becomes Lucia Renren again. When Yoko finds Lucia Renren, Arshasne's last assassin starts his mission. As a vampire, the assassin loves capturing beautiful virgins and then sucking all their blood. The task of capturing virgins is usually left to the werewolves under his command. The werewolf smells Yoko and intends to sacrifice her to the vampire. Confronted by the cruel werewolves, Dark's consciousness within Lucia Renren's body awakens. He issues a stern warning to the werewolf, cautioning him against any harm to Yoko, or else being killed, due to his young appearance. The werewolf doesn't take it seriously. As a result, Dark unleashes a powerful assault on the werewolf using Lucia Renren's body, and the werewolf meets his end. Despite the werewolf's lack of strength, ending his life proves to be a challenging task for Lucia Renren. The vampire in the distance tells that Dark can only use some of his strength. As long as keeping Dark sealed in Lucia Renren, he can kill the strongest magician in the legend. The vampire captures Dark and Yoko to the castle, where they see the blonde and the female swordsman also being trapped. But these two are actually caught deliberately, because they want to kill this enemy for Dark. But they underestimate the power of vampires. The vampire shredded the female swordsman's armor and almost drained her. The blonde is also easily defeated. Yoko is very worried and does not know what to do. Upon witnessing his beloved ones encountering danger, Dark, concealed within Lucia Renren, starts to awaken. To buy more time for Dark, Yoko delivers a decisive kick to the vampire, capturing his focus. Infuriated, the vampire retaliates fiercely, knocking Yoko down. Enraged, Dark is completely awakened and appears, causing the cage to explode in an instant. Dark attacks with lightning spells, but it seems to cause no hurt on the vampire's extremely strong body. The vampire laughs arrogantly and then casts rays from his eyes, slicing Dark into 2 pieces, but he soon finds out he actually killed his own man. It turns out that the lightning spell has damaged the vampire's nerves in his brain, so he can no longer aim at anyone. The vampire spins in anger and casts the ray all around, intending to kill Dark along with the others. Dark counterattacks with a lightning spell. However, it only makes a hole in the wall. The vampire laughs at Dark's missing shot, but next second the sunlight shining through the hole turns him into ashes. The best way to defeat a vampire is sunlight. Dark's attack was intentionally made to hit the wall. Nevertheless, vampires possess remarkable resilience. Even when exposed to sunlight, they can become bats for a brief span before reverting to their human form. Therefore, Dark employs a formidable curse known as the Blue Nail on the vampire. He sternly instructs the vampire not to engage in combat, lest his nails undergo a color transformation. Following several transformations, the cursed one will eventually turn into a toad. Meanwhile, the army of monsters of divine generals, taking advantage of Dark's absence, are attacking the kingdom. The ninja master, who is subservient to Dark, leads the ninja army to help defend the realm. At the base, the other two divine generals are blaming Arshasne for her defeat. Considering that Arshasne was Dark's lover, they cursed Arshasne with Blue Nail. If Arshasne falls in love with Dark again, the nails will start to change color until she becomes a toad. Arshasne knows once she attacks the kingdom, Dark will rush back to defend it. At this time, the kingdom is defended by the Ninja Master. Arshasne shows no mercy to this former companion, slashing at him with the Thunderbolt sword. However, the weapon wielded by the Ninja Master, a katana infused with the power of evil spirits, possesses comparable potency. Swiftly, the Ninja Master cuts Arshasne into two pieces. Yet, Arshasne's resilience is not to be underestimated. In reality, this is just her illusion magic. Then Arshasne slashes the Ninja Master in half, but he uses a ninjutsu to take the attacks. And then he creates separations with Cage Bunsen to confuse Arshasne. With 7 of Ninja Master's separations slashing at her all at once, Arshasne does not panic. Instead, she calmly finds the real Ninja Master and defends against the coming slash precisely. This shot is so powerful that Arshasne's Thunderbolt sword is shattered directly. The surrounding onlookers all seem to know the result, but Arshasne doesn't give up. She leaps up and slashes at the Ninja Master. With a sudden lightning at the broken blade, the sword crosses the Ninja Master's weapon and cuts into his body. The blade turns out to be the decoration, and the lightning is the real Thunderbolt sword. Just as the Ninja Master is about to be defeated, a thunderbolt falls from the sky. Dark finally shows up, accompanied by his newfound love, Yoko. Dark further stirs Arshasne's anger, as she despises his philandering tendencies. However, rather than launching an assault, Dark gently makes contact with her body. The ensuing pleasure acts as a catalyst, erasing Arshasne's animosity towards Dark in an instant. Just as Arshasne experiences a sudden turn of emotions, her nails' color change, and she comes back to her senses. She summons her loyal griffin mount and flies to the skies, departing with the intention of regaining her composure before returning to take revenge on Dark. The wounded Ninja Master tells Dark to be careful, because Arshasne's swordplay and magic has improved a lot during the 15 years of Dark's absence. Meanwhile, the High Priest visits the prophetess and asks her to divine the result of the battle between Dark and Arshasne. Through the crystal ball, the prophetess senses that Dark changes from an evil wizard to a man with kindness. She then divines the result will be Dark dying with his heart taken out. As a magical swordsman raised by Dark, Arshasne masters exactly the same spells as Dark does. They are very familiar with each other, so the result depends on who can be more ruthless. If it is the old Dark, he will definitely win, but now he has been influenced by Lucia Renren, and gradually becomes a good person. Once he gets lenient in the battle, he may lose. Upon receiving the divination's outcome, the princess approaches Dark to offer a cautious reminder. However, Dark remains indifferent and proceeds to engage in flirtatious banter with the princess. Unbeknownst to him, the princess has harbored affection for him in secret. Yet, just as she intends to give him her cherished first night, a sudden lightning flash and resounding thunder disrupt the scene. Dark senses that Arshasne is casting the ultimate magic. The horrible flash struck a big hole in the castle. Luckily, Dark casts a spell in time to protect the princess and Yoko from being hurt. Then Dark flies into the air to fight with Arshasne. Arshasne chants an incantation, casting a spell Dark has never seen before. Just then a lightning ball floats in the air like the black hole. It absorbs all the magic around. So both Dark and Arshasne can no longer use spells. But Arshasne is also a swordsman, so she obviously takes more advantage than Magician Dark. At this critical moment, the fire elemental conquered by Dark appears and turns into a flaming sword for Dark to duel fairly. Dark swings his weapon and kills Arshasne's mount with a single slash. They then have to fight on the ground. They slash at each other. The fire elemental and the thunder elemental appear as the two swords hit together. The fire elemental holds the thunder elemental, rushing towards the lightning ball. It turns out that the fire elemental wants to die with the lightning ball so that Dark can use the spell again. Seeing that the fire elf died for him, while Yoko and the others are in danger, Dark finally wakes up. He no longer holds back his power because of his feelings, and attacks Arshasne with all his strength. They cast lightning spells at the same time, and together they are blown away by the explosion caused by the collision of spells. Then they use Hellfire. Such advanced spells meeting in the sky causes another collapse on the castle by the blast. Just now, Dark is defeated in the duel. He still can't help himself holding his power on Arshasne, though being kind in the duel is a fatal weakness. At this point, Dark is already seriously injured. Just one more spell can kill him. However, Arshasne begins to hesitate. Finally, she decides to summon lightning ghosts to give Dark a fatal blow. The lightning ghost can attack on its own, so Arshasne will not have to kill Dark herself. Dark also summons flame ghosts to fight the lightning ghosts. The ghosts are fighting in the sky, and the battle has no clear winner yet. At this time, Dark seizes the opportunity to question Arshasne about the reason behind their fervent conflict. Arsha's reveals that the aspiration of the divine generals of the Dark Rebel Army is to reshape the world's prevailing norms, ushering in a kingdom characterized by absolute equity. Having faced numerous hardships from a tender age due to her identity as a half-elf, Arsha's has cultivated an unwavering determination to bring this vision to fruition. Initially, she assumed that Dark's ambitions aligned with the establishment of a new nation. However, she later uncovers his true aim, which is to pursue countless romantic partners. But even so, Arsha's still loves this man who has saved her. Recalling the feelings of the past, Arsha's feels softening towards Dark again. Then the pain on her finger reminds Arsha's that the curse will not allow her to fall in love with Dark. So Arsha's decides to use a final spell to end the battle. Then Arsha's lightning ghosts attack Yoko and the princess. Although they don't get hurt, it scares Dark. It is Dark's bottom line that she cannot hurt Yoko, and he finally becomes completely furious, as if he has turned back to the ruthless evil magician. Arsha's uses all her magic power, planning to give Dark a final shot. The divination shows that Dark will be defeated finally, and even his heart will disappear. But as they release their spells, Arsha's turns out to be the one who may lose. But it isn't because Arsha's is weaker. It is just that she can't make a choice between turning into a toad and killing Dark, so she chooses to hold her power and be killed by her lover willingly. Lucia Renren inside Dark's body discovers Arsha's thoughts. He reminds Dark that Arsha's has fallen under the blue nail curse and has deliberately lost the fight. Dark, who suddenly realizes, uses his last magic power to remove the spells of the two. In such a deadly situation, Arsha's survives. But at the last minute of the duel, Arsha's love for Dark can no longer be hidden. When she is about to turn into a toad, Dark takes out his heart, breaking Arsha's curse by his death. After Dark's death, Arsha's curse disappeared immediately, but she instead feels so sad and regretful because she never wants to be saved by Dark sacrificing his life. Others are also grieved to see this, believing that Dark is a real hero. Meanwhile, one of the Dark Rebel Army's divine generals, the Dark Priest, sees Dark's death through the crystal, intending to take this opportunity to attack the kingdom even more furiously. The Dark Priest is a very cruel man, able to summon tons of monsters in battles. One more of the divine generals within the Dark Rebel Army, Kalsu, launches an assault on the kingdom as well. His expertise lies in freeze spells, an equally formidable capability. Their shared intention is to resurrect the Dark Evil Devil, with the aim of bringing about the world's destruction. As they have completed half of the resurrection ritual, the body of the Dark Evil Devil has begun to metabolize. It is said that the key to the complete resurrection is in the royal palace of the kingdom, which is why they attack the kingdom. As the army of the kingdom continues to be defeated, they are about to lose the royal capital. But Dark has died, and no one is able to block the Dark Priest now. Just as everyone is in despair, Dark's body suddenly changes. We see him turn into Lucia Renren first, and the next moment, it changes back to Dark himself as a shining light flashes. Meanwhile, his heart begins to regenerate, and it seems he is about to be resurrected. At this very moment, the Ninja Master and Arsha's are rallying with the kingdom's forces against the army led by the Dark Priest. They're engaged in combat with a formidable warrior clad in the demon mail, an immensely defensive armor that repels all magic. As the Ninja Master and Arsha's find themselves at a disadvantage, the warrior informs them that due to the imminent revival of the Dark Evil Devil, all evil beings have gained heightened strength. Meanwhile, Dark's magical prowess has also undergone augmentation. Prior to his demise, he secretly cast a spell of resurrection, which later brings him back to life. Seeing this, Yoko can't help but cry. But Dark has no time to comfort Yoko, rushing to the battlefield as soon as possible to support Ninja Master and Nei. He easily defeats the warrior with fire magic, leaving only the demon male. Seeing Dark alive, Nei is so excited that she hugs him tightly. Since Dark joins the battle, the army quickly repels the enemy. That night, a celebration banquet is held at the palace to celebrate the victory. After the banquet, Dark spends a romantic night with Nei. Elsewhere, the Dark Priest is furious to learn that his army was defeated by a resurrected Dark. He then sends an even more powerful warrior, Cyclops, to launch a new round of attack. He also equipped the Cyclops with a demonic treasurer, the Demon Mace, which is able to cause earthquakes. After the Cyclops comes to the kingdom, Dark comes to the battlefield again to fight the Cyclops. Amidst the battle, his magic inflicts grievous harm upon the Cyclops, but then he witnesses the wounds promptly heal. Following this, the Cyclops' power is even strengthened. It turns out that the Dark Priest implanted the cells of the Dark Evil Devil into the Cyclops' body, so he has the ability to regenerate. Dark then uses magic to shatter the Cyclops' head, which he believes will kill the Cyclops. However, the Cyclops can still fight with no head. As the demon mace emits a dazzling light, the Cyclops smashes it to the ground, directly causing an earthquake. Fortunately, Dark flies into the air in advance, so he is not harmed. Right at that moment, the Cyclops abruptly ceases its assault. Evidently, it is unable to endure the influence of the cells belonging to the dark evil devil, leading its body to begin splitting, rendering it immobile. Seizing this chance, Dark launches a decisive strike on his enemy. He then summons a portal to another world, transporting the Cyclops to a world where temperatures soar into the tens of thousands. Despite its regenerative ability, survival within such conditions would prove impossible. When the Dark Priest learns that the Cyclops has also been defeated, he decides to send his strongest subordinate. Soon after, a black fog spreads from the border of the kingdom, and the area covered becomes as dark as night. In the dark, a necromancer is slaughtering innocent people. Alone, he comes from the border to the capital of the kingdom, and all those who tried to stand in his way were killed. The necromancer stands as the Dark Priest's most formidable underling. With the aim of halting the encroachment of the black fog upon the capital, Dark raises a fire barrier encircling the city, effectively blocking the fog. Nonetheless, the necromancer remains undeterred, walking through the barrier to directly confront Dark. He wears the last demonic treasure, the Satan's Ring, which can summon a black hole. If Dark is sucked into the black hole, he could be locked up in another world forever. To compound matters, 3 demonic treasurers show up in the kingdom's capital simultaneously, initiating the absorption of mana from everyone within their vicinity, Dark included. As his magic power is weakened, Dark finds himself unable to counterattack and gradually being drawn into the black hole. In a bid to save Dark, Ney is also pulled into the black hole. Ultimately, the Ninja Master is the only one left on the battlefield. As Dark disappears, everyone falls into despair. Elsewhere, the Dark Priest has sneaked into the palace, planning to steal the demon mail and the demon mace, as well as to get the key to resurrect the dark evil devil. As the black hole magic is finished, the Ninja Master resolves to stand in for Dark in combat. He's aware that Dark won't meet an instant demise upon entering the black hole, and he knows that conquering the Necromancer, wresting control of the Satan's Ring, and subsequently summoning the black hole again will enable him to save Dark. However, Ninja Master's first attack did not hit the Necromancer, because his body resembles a ghost, which won't be damaged by ordinary weapons. Luckily, Ninja Master's katana isn't ordinary. He can summon the devil in his katana to attack the Necromancer, but at the cost of his vitality. Ninja Master doesn't think twice, allowing the devil to devour his life force, and he succeeds in slashing the Necromancer. But Ninja Master is also seriously injured, and if he does that again, he may die completely. Urgently, he needs to overcome the Necromancer, or Dark and Ney will face death. The Ninja Master, without hesitation, once more puts himself on the line, causing fatal injuries to the Necromancer. As a result, his life is also coming to an end. Though badly injured, the Necromancer isn't dead yet. He heals his fatal wounds with the powerful magic of the Satan's Ring, and it seems that the Necromancer is about to win this battle. Just then, the Fire Elemental and the Thunder Elemental actually run out of the black hole, followed by Dark and Arshasne. It turns out that the Fire Elemental and the Thunder Elemental were sucked into the black hole by Ney's magic. And when Dark and Ney entered, they met each other. The Elementals created special spaces to protect Dark and Ney, so they survived in that space. With the Necromancer's utilization of the Satan's Ring once more, the black hole reopens, granting Dark a chance to break free from it. Taking advantage of the assistance of the Fire Elemental, Dark wields the Flame Sword to launch an offensive against the Necromancer, who holds an intense dread for flames. Dark's assault proves lethal, bringing about the Necromancer's complete demise. In the wake of his death, the black fog promptly dissipates. Meanwhile, Ninja Master, exhausted of vitality, is about to die, and everyone feels grieved for it. Oddly enough, he stands up alive. It turns out that the determination of the Ninja Master touched the devil in the sword, who took the initiative to help him and did not absorb his life force. Meanwhile, the Dark Priest is shocked to learn that the Necromancer has been defeated, but he immediately calms down. After Necromancer's death, he will have exclusive possession of the 3 demonic treasures, which will make him more powerful than ever. Swiftly, he eliminates the palace guards and takes away the demon mail and demon mace. At that very moment, Ney hurries back to the palace, launching an immediate assault on the Dark Priest. Nevertheless, her attack inflicts only marginal harm on him. Seeing the Dark Priest is defensive to the thunder magic, Ney immediately summons a very powerful whirlwind to attack. Dark is also in the palace. He is summoned by the king, who reveals to him that the key to resurrecting the dark evil devil is in the princess's body. Therefore, Dark must do his best to protect the princess or the world may be destroyed. That's why Dark didn't join Ney to fight against the Dark Priest in the first place. Let's go back to Arshasne, whose whirlwind magic still fails to defeat the Dark Priest. She then turns the Thunder Elemental into a Thunder Sword, hoping to slash the enemy with this powerful sword. In response to Ney's onslaught, the Dark Priest initiates an incantation, merging the Demon Mail, Demon Mace, and Satan's Ring, and thus, the composite demonic king is created. He then enters its body and takes command of it for battle. The demonic king is so powerful that Arshasne knows she can't defeat it, so she flees, while the dark priest begins to pursue her, and in the process, he destroys the castle and kills many of the guards. He soon catches up with Ney and injures her, just as he is about to kill Ney. Dark rushes over in time and stops him. Then, Dark summons the Stone Warrior to fight against the Dark Priest's demonic king. The Stone Warrior directly punches the Dark Priest's face, which is not covered by the armor. Furious, the Dark Priest takes Ney hostage to threaten Dark to surrender. For the sake of Ney, Dark gives in without hesitation. Seeing this, the Dark Priest thinks his tactics are successful, but in fact Dark was just trying to divert his attention. As he lets his guard down, Dark suddenly orders the Stone Warrior to attack the Dark Priest and manages to rescue Arshasne. Becoming aware of the deception, the Dark Priest launches a furious assault on Dark. While Dark manages to evade the attack, the Stone Warrior falls victim to the demonic king's might, meeting its demise. As they realize how powerful the demonic king is, a sense of fear grips everyone, excluding Dark. Undeterred, he holds steadfast in his belief that he will triumph over the Dark Priest. Believing that he has taken advantage, the Dark Priest immediately manipulates the demonic king to step on Dark, only to be blocked. Dark then flies into the air, ready to attack the Dark Priest with magic. The demonic king has the ability of Demon Mail, which can block all magic, so the Dark Priest isn't panicked at all. To his shock, what Dark casts is a forbidden magic, which summons monsters from hell to devour the demonic king. Attacked by the monsters, the Dark Priest gets injured, but he soon controls the demonic king to counterattack, killing the monsters in an instant. Dark fails to dodge the attack, and his left leg is cut off. What's worse, their battle seems to be felt by the Dark Evil Devil, whose magic power instantly increases, causing the princess to feel severe pain. The Dark Evil Devil is increasingly desperate for the key in her body. If the Dark Priest succeeds in capturing the princess, it's certain that the world will face destruction. However, Dark, the sole person capable of halting the Dark Priest's plans, finds himself severely wounded at present, rendering him with limited capacity to engage in combat. The Dark Priest relentlessly attacks Dark, pushing him to the point of immobility. Then, he begins to move towards the princess. Just then, Dark stands up again. He uses his strongest fire magic to attack Dark Priest, which may be his last chance. However, Dark's attack is still blocked by the highly defensive armor. To help Dark, Ney uses the same fire magic to attack, doubling its power. Even part of the castle collapses under the attack, but the demonic king is still unharmed. Having the absolute advantage, the Dark Priest decides to kill Dark first. Dark has lost his left leg, and his left arm has been broken during the battle just now. Everyone thinks Dark will definitely be killed, but Yoko believes that Dark can still win. Encouraged by Yoko's words, Dark rises again, transforming himself into a cannonball. He hurtles toward the demonic king, whose formidable defense primarily relies on the demon mail. Dark persists in targeting the areas not shielded by the armor, ultimately achieving victory by eliminating the demonic king. Nonetheless, Dark doesn't escape unscathed. The demonic king's attack inflicts serious injuries on Dark, leaving his body cut off, and he has little chance of survival. Seeing how badly Dark is injured, Ney rushes to him, shedding tears. Yoko also can't help crying, worried about losing Dark and Lucia Renren at the same time. Luckily, Dark isn't dead, and he is even able to joke, which means he can use magic to heal. It seems he manages to win this battle. While everyone is celebrating Dark's victory, the Dark Priest suddenly appears and captures Yoko. It turns out that Dark's attack only destroyed the demonic king, while the Dark Priest is still alive. Taking Yoko hostage, he threatens Dark not to fight back. Both Ninja Master and Arshasne are injured in previous battles, so they are unable to fight either. Once again, the situation of this battle is reversed. Yoko asks Dark to not take her into account, and he should immediately defeat the Dark Priest to save the world. But Dark still doesn't bear to see Yoko getting hurt, so he follows the Dark Priest's words, giving no counterattacks. As the Dark Priest hurts Dark, he mocks Dark for being weak. If it were the previous Dark, he would definitely fight back without hesitation. Just as he finishes his words, the Dark Priest decides to eliminate Dark, but is stopped by two of Arshasne's subordinates. Swiftly and stealthily, they attack the Dark Priest and save Yoko. Depleted of magic power in the battle just now, the Dark Priest finds himself bereft of options. Without the hostage, he will be easily defeated by Ney and others. But in fact, the Dark Priest has a last resort. He has some of the Dark Evil Devil's cells, which can provide him with a lot of magic power, allowing him to summon a large number of Ghost Knights. Ney and the others immediately step forward to confront the Ghost Knights, and with their joint efforts, these knights are gradually annihilated. However, the Dark Priest then gathers the magic of the Ghost Knights together to summon the Super Ghost Knight, which is even more powerful and difficult to be defeated. At this moment, Dark has fallen into a coma due to excessive blood loss. He meets Lucia Renren in his dream, and with Lucia Renren's encouragement, Dark wakes up again, challenging the Dark Priest angrily. By this time Dark has lost his lower body and left arm, unlikely to be able to fight. Observing Dark's struggle to stand up, the Dark Priest taunts him for his perceived arrogance. Much to the Dark Priest's astonishment, Dark swiftly regenerates his lower body and left arm with flames. Unbeknownst to the Dark Priest, the revival of the Dark Evil Devil serves to amplify the magic potency of evil creatures. Given Dark's prior status as the most evil magician, his magic power has experienced a substantial augmentation. That is also to say, if the Dark Evil Devil is completely resurrected, Dark will become the strongest person in the world. If it were the previous Dark, he would definitely capture the princess to resurrect the Dark Evil Devil. But now he has changed. Lucia Renren's love and kindness influence his soul, so Dark is no longer the supervillain he used to be. Dark begins attacking the Super Ghost Knight, while the Dark Priest continues to replenish the giant with his magic. In the end, Dark's attack surpasses the Dark Priest's healing magic, and the Super Ghost Knight is killed. Dark then comes to the Dark Priest. Instead of killing him directly, Dark punches the evil with his fist, and then pierces the Dark Priest with a flame sword. After doing all this, Dark faints again due to his injuries. Yoko is the first to step forward to hold him, but to her surprise, Dark just pretends to be weak, taking the opportunity to touch her. Yoko's face blushes, but she feels happy. Regrettably, the Dark Priest remains alive, resuming his assault on Dark once more. Coincidentally, he stands on the edge of a stone bridge, which is already cracked by their battle. In an effort to shield Dark, Yoko strikes the bridge's edge, causing it to shatter completely. Both she and the Dark Priest fall. The Dark Priest lands on a sharp rooftop, meeting an instantaneous demise. His passing triggers the fusion of the Dark Evil Devil's cells with the Satan's ring, resulting in a violent explosion that destroys the entire palace. Fortunately, with the Dark Priest's defeat, the resurrection ritual of the Dark Evil Devil also comes to a halt, thus granting the world a chance to temporarily escape destruction. Not long after, Yoko emerges in a faraway kingdom, accompanied by the gravely wounded Lucia Renren. It turns out that before Dark died, he used teleportation magic to teleport everyone in the palace to safe places. Yoko is now in the kingdom of samurai, where the warriors are called samurai. They are very upright, brave and loyal. It was them who saved Yoko and Lucia Renren, allowing Yoko to study here. After 2 years, Yoko has become a powerful female magician. Kalsu, one of the Dark Rebel Army's divine generals, continues invasions. He leads a large army to look for the princess everywhere, because he still wants to lift the seal of the Dark Evil Devil using the key in the princess's body. In the process, they conquered many kingdoms. Under Kalsu's leadership, a formidable group of 12 demon generals is marshaled to combat the samurai, whose kingdom remains the sole bastion of resistance. In gratitude for the samurai's kindness, Yoko joins the fight. However, outnumbered, the samurai can merely partake in brief skirmishes, retreating before the enemy's reinforcing troops arrive. Recognizing that Dark's intervention is imperative for a decisive victory over Kalsu, Yoko understands the necessity of his aid. Despite her numerous attempts to revive Dark, including her interactions with Lucia Renren over the past 2 years, Dark has remained absent. It appears that his demise in that battle was indeed a reality. When Kalsu learns that Yoko is still alive, he immediately orders the demon generals to find out where she is, worrying Dark may be alive too. If he wants to resurrect the Dark Evil Devil, he must eradicate the biggest threat, Dark. Luckily, the land of the samurai is located in a hidden mountain, so it has never been discovered by the enemy. But one day, a cunning demon general finds them. He first wounds a samurai, and then deceives him that the kingdom of samurai is about to be attacked. The samurai struggles to return to his base to remind his companions to be wary of attacks, while the demon general secretly follows him. When he gets to the location of the samurai kingdom, he immediately initiates a battle. This demon general excels at fighting with wires, which are almost invisible but can easily cut off people's bodies. What's worse, another demon general soon brings a group of griffins to join the battle. With swift precision, a formidable samurai kills the demon general, severing him into fragments. Yet, to the samurai's astonishment, the demon general's body is composed of innumerable worms, capable of reconstituting itself fully. Subsequently, the demon general exerts control over additional worms, utilizing them to eliminate the samurai. The other demon general also kills many samurai using wires. While a lot of griffins are attacking the kingdom, Yoko tries her best to defend the kingdom, but she knows that if Dark doesn't show up, the samurai kingdom will soon fall. Actually, Yoko's father, the high priest, once taught her one of the strongest resurrection spells that can instantly resurrect all the dead. She tried many times to resurrect Dark, but all failed. Now in such a desperate situation, Yoko's potential seems to be triggered. As she gains the magic power that surpasses her limits, she finally succeeds succeeds in unleashing this spell, she resurrects not only the fallen samurai, but also Dark. As Dark shows up, he kills all the griffins in an instant, stunning everyone present, especially those who never met him. However, the two demon generals do not panic. Instead, they are very excited, because killing Dark will be a big credit. Together they attack Dark, whose magic shield easily blocks them. Before the two demons can react to Dark's power, he has started to counterattack, summoning a three-headed dragon. It spews out hot flames, instantly defeating the demon generals. However, they are not dead yet. Seizing an opportunity to flee away, Dark doesn't chase after them, as he will lead the samurai to directly attack Kalsu's army. Pressed for time, Dark is well aware that thwarting Kalsu's efforts to locate the princess is essential. Failure to do so could lead to the resurrection of the dark evil devil and the ensuing destruction of the world. To make matters worse, he is also unaware of the princess's whereabouts. 2 years ago, he succeeded in teleporting the princess to safety before the explosion, but the exigency of the situation prohibited him from selecting a precise destination. Consequently, the location to which the princess was teleported remains a mystery to all. What's worse, Kalsu finds out the princess's location first. In the past 2 years, his army has searched almost all over the continent, but failed to find any clues about the princess. Therefore, Kalsu speculates that the princess might not be on Earth, but in the air. Coincidentally, there's a kingdom floating in the air, which was created by the elves, thus called the Land of the Elves. Kalsu thinks the princess must be there. He sent a large number of troops to attack the humans, intending to divert Dark's attention. Meanwhile, Kalsu himself takes the opportunity to secretly travel to the Elven land with the demon generals. Kalsu's army is formed of orcs and goblins. These races are perverted and cruel, slaughtering for fun. If they catch a male, they will kill or eat him directly, but if it's a woman, they will do perverted things before killing her. Today, this evil army will pay for what they have done, because they bump into Dark's army. Compared to the demon generals, the orcs and goblins are very weak, so they are soon defeated. Dark and the samurai eliminate the evil army, rescuing captured humans. Following 2 triumphs, Dark and his companions opt for a respite. During that evening, Dark extends an invitation to Yoko to join him for a shower, attempting to foster a closer connection. Yoko, while deeply fond of Dark, is filled with shyness, and, driven by her desire to save such intimacy for marriage, she kicks him out. Unbeknownst to Yoko, a female swordsman also likes Dark. She often dreams about Dark having intimacy with her, and her dream almost comes true tonight. It turns out that after being rejected by Yoko, Dark wants to go to Yoko's room to have another try, only to enter the female swordsman's room by accident. As they are about to have further interaction on the bed, Yoko happens to hear the sound, and she angrily breaks into the room, dragging Dark away. The next day, the samurai intend to figure out a confusion they have. In the previous battle, they found that the enemy army was not led by a demon general, unlike they used to be. Under their interrogation, the captive reveals that the demon generals and Kalsu have traveled to the Elven land on an airship. The samurai soon get that Kalsu is going there to find the princess, so they must immediately chase after him. They set off later than Kalsu with no airship-like transportation, so they are most likely to fall far behind him. Luckily, within the realm of the samurai, a mysterious relic emerges which was crafted by ancient elves. Nestled in the depth of this ruin rests a device. Engaging with the elven inscriptions on the machine, Dark unveils its true nature, which is a portal that ushers one directly into the elven domain. Dark activates the portal, through which he and his companions soon get to the elves' kingdom. Meanwhile, the princess is sleeping. It turns out that she has been in a coma for the past 2 years, because if she is awake, Kalsu could find her through magic. Dark had predicted it, so he put her to sleep with magic, and she won't wake up unless Dark comes to her. Even so, Kalsu still got her location and he intends to kill her for the evil purpose. Kalsu wasn't a bad guy originally. His father is a creature from another world, so he has a strong magical talent. However, when he was a child, his father left him, which caused him to be bullied by other children in the village. Enraged, Kalsu accidentally activated his magic power and killed the children. As a result, Kalsu was imprisoned, while the village leader even ordered Kalsu's mother to execute Kalsu with her own hands. Attacked by his own mother, Kalsu once again lost control, killing all the villagers, including his mother. This is Kalsu's most painful memory and the weakness of his soul. The dark evil devil exploited this weakness to take control of Kalsu, making Kalsu his slave. Not long after, Kalsu's airships approach the vicinity of the Elven land, which is overseen by a vigilant dragon. The dragon successfully eliminates numerous airships, yet the majority elude its assault, soaring over the land. At this time, the demon generals notice a bright light emanating from the portal, a sign that Dark and the samurai have managed to come to the Elven land with a step ahead. Before we continue, let's take a look back to 400 years ago. At that time, there were no elves, orcs, dragons, or magic. The world was like the Earth, with a very advanced civilization, as well as many conflicts between countries. To create the strongest weapon to deal with the conflicts, scientists in a certain country fused the cells of countless creatures, and finally created a group of monsters. The strongest of them was the monster that came to be known as the Dark Evil Devil. The Dark Evil Devil broke out of the control of scientists and began to destroy the world. The armies of all nations unite to fight against the Dark Evil Devil, which, however, was far more powerful than expected, and none of the armies could defeat it. Just when humanity was feeling desperate, the Divine Dragon showed up. He successfully defeated the Dark Evil Devil and sealed it. Before the Divine Dragon disappeared, a prophecy was left. In 400 years, someone would inherit his power and become a dragon hero to defeat the Dark Evil Devil again. The conflict between the Divine Dragon and the Dark Evil Devil resulted in the submergence of several continents beneath the ocean waves, leading to a significant loss of human lives. With the fading memory of past technologies, a novel force emerged to aid humanity's adaptation to the new world. This force eventually evolved into what is presently recognized as magic. If the prophecy of the Divine Dragon is true, the Dark Evil Devil will soon be resurrected. Does it mean that Dark and the samurai failed to stop Kalsu and his army? Let's see. After Dark arrives in the land of elves, the demon general's airships are nearby. The guard dragon is still chasing the airships, which causes all the airships to eventually fall into the elven kingdom, bringing a powerful explosion. To protect his companions, Dark is almost dead. Fortunately, his magic allows him to be divided into a few pieces of small Darks, preventing him from getting injured. Then these small copies merge together, turning back into a normal Dark. The demon generals did not die in the explosion either, and they begin to attack Dark and the samurai. Usually, Dark can easily defeat these demon generals, but right now, Dark is surprised to find that he gets blind. At this time, a demon general gifted in the manipulation of shadows commences his assault. Proficient at concealing himself within the shrouds of darkness, he ensnares his enemies by fixing their shadows. Since Dark can't see anything, the demon general pierces Dark with his attack. Subsequently, he summons a pitch-black giant from the shadows. Though hindered by his inability to see anything, Dark can aim at the giant through the loud noise caused by it. The giant proves to be a minor challenge for Dark, as he effortlessly overpowers it. Unaware of Dark's visual impairment, the demon general is astonished by Dark's formidable might, conceding defeat immediately. Meanwhile, in the forest beneath the Elven land, Ney and Ninja Master encounter each other. 2 years ago, they happened to be teleported by Dark to the vicinity of the Elves' kingdom. When Dark showed up in the kingdom just now, they felt his mana. In addition to Dark, they also feel another familiar magic, that of Kalsu. Kalsu used to be Dark's student and friend, but when he meets Dark today, he seems to have forgotten about their past. As the demon generals were defeated, Kalsu and Dark fall into a fierce battle. The loud noise, coupled with the fact that Dark is here, wakes the princess up. Sensing it, Dark fights Kalsu harder. To confuse Dark, Kalsu creates many phantom copies, but unbeknownst to him, Dark is blind now, and he tells Kalsu's location by sound and magic, so he instantly finds the real Kalsu and kills him. Subsequently, Dark makes a dash toward the princess, who greets him with joyous surprise. However, in an unexpected turn, Dark is abruptly eliminated by Kalsu. As it turns out, Kalsu has managed to acquire the cells of the Dark Evil Devil, granting him the capability of swift revival even in the face of fatal injuries. A mysterious samurai senses Dark's death, and immediately informs others about it. This tall man has never spoken before, and thus was mistaken for a mute. When he speaks today, Yoko soon finds that his voice is the same as the Dark Priest. Surprisingly, he is indeed the Dark Priest, hiding inside a set of armor. But now the Dark Priest is not an enemy. He was previously controlled by the Dark Evil Devil and did a lot of crazy acts. Luckily, during the fight 2 years ago, Dark destroyed the Dark Evil Devil's cells in his body. Therefore, he is no longer in control. After healing himself with magic, he disguises himself as a samurai against the Dark Evil Devil. As he announces Dark's death, he also discovers that there is a small Dark hiding in Yoko's cloak. This little Dark wanted to be close with Yoko, missed the chance to merge with other copies, and caused Dark to be blind. Coincidentally, the Dark Priest has an artifact that can make people grow instantly, so he can turn the small Dark into a complete Dark. This is equivalent to Dark's resurrection. Just as Dark is about to rush into the room to fight Kalsu, several demon generals appear, trying to stop him. The samurai soon get in front of Dark, asking him to go to the princess, while they will stay to deal with the demon generals. Yoko and the Dark Priest also join the fight. They are both very powerful magicians, and with their joint efforts, the samurai and the demon generals are tied to a draw. Kalsu is attempting to seize the key within the princess's body, but Dark arrives in time to halt his efforts. Dark excels in fire magic, while Kalsu is a master of ice-based magic. Their fates seem entwined as if by cosmic design, casting them as eternal rivals. Employing their mightiest magic, Dark and Kalsu clash, yet it still ends in a draw, as they are both unable to overcome each other. As Dark is focusing on fighting, 3 demon generals decide to secretly capture the princess. Luckily, Nei and Ninja Master have just arrived in the land of the elves, and they quickly defeat the 3 demon generals. After that, they begin watching the showdown between Dark and Kalsu. They and Kalsu were once Dark's most trusted companions. Kalsu used to consider Dark his best friend, but today he wants to kill Dark. Actually, it is because he is controlled by the Dark Evil Devil, and as he fights with Dark, he gradually recalls his friendship with Dark. At this very moment, Kalsu suddenly pierces his own heart to end the fight. It turns out that Kalsu controlled his body for a moment with his strong will, and to get rid of the Dark Evil Devil, he chose to kill himself, unwilling to fight with Dark anymore. Nevertheless, the Dark Evil Devil managed to implant cells within Kalsu's body. Even after facing fatal injuries, the Dark Evil Devil remains capable of utilizing his body for battle. Kalsu undergoes a harrowing metamorphosis, emerging as a creature wielding the very power of the Dark Evil Devil. He instantly shreds the princess's body, seizes the key, and unlocks the seal. Now the Dark Evil Devil is completely resurrected, ready to destroy the world again. Seeing this, almost everyone falls in despair, except for Yoko. She encourages her companions to assist Dark, who is still fighting the monster, hoping to awaken Kalsu's consciousness. Seeing this, Ninja Master, Nei, and the Dark Priest take the lead to join the battle, followed by other samurai. The Dark Priest was once transformed into such a monster by the cells, so he knows that the monster's body can always recover no matter how much damage it receives. If they want to defeat the monster, they must destroy its core. They join forces to launch attacks, managing to injure the monster. As it is enraged, it splits into a lot of small monsters. At this time, the demon general has come to realize that the Dark Evil Devil is Kalsu's enemy. They forge an alliance with the warriors, uniting to combat these small monsters. Through the combined efforts of all, the small monsters are eliminated, and its true body sustains increasingly grievous injuries. Although it possesses the ability to rapidly heal using its magic, the accumulation of wounds drains its mana over time. Moreover, it experiences pain from its injuries, which nearly pushes it to collapse. While others are constantly attacking the monster, Dark isn't involved. He tries to talk loudly to Kalsu, hoping to awaken his consciousness in the monster's body. As the monster is weakening, Kalsu's consciousness gradually regains control of his body. In the end, Kalsu manages to break out of the body and unites with Dark. Moreover, at this moment, the sky is aglow with a golden light. As the divine power surges into Dark's body, people recognize this as the power of the divine dragon, suggesting that the divine dragon has chosen Dark as a dragon hero. A dragon hero requires not only immense strength but also the virtues of love, courage, and justice. Formerly, Dark possessed only strength, lacking these other qualities. Now, under the influence of Yoko and Lucia Renren, he has possessed these qualities. Empowered by the divine dragon's might, Dark, alongside Kalsu, launches a final assault against the monsters, successfully eliminating them. They finally emerge triumphant in this battle. However, the monster they've vanquished is just a few cells of the Dark Evil Devil. To conquer the Dark Evil Devil, they must endure even greater sacrifices. The true showdown has only just commenced. That brings the end of the first and the second season of Bastard. Although Dark and his companions try very hard to stop Kalsu, the cunning Dark Evil Devil is still resurrected. This terrifying monster has destroyed the world once, but this time it will face an opponent stronger than the Divine Dragon. Dark, with the divine power, is not as upright as the other protagonists. He is willing to do something bad in order to win. With the characteristics of both a hero and a villain, I am sure Dark will be able to achieve the final victory. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel. Leave a comment below if you want me to continue recapping this anime. See you in my next video.